The flinch. Want a real visceral example of what the flinch feels like? Try this. Go to your shower and turn on the cold water. If you do, you should tense up immediately in your chest. You might start laughing to release the tension. You're predicting a flinch that hasn't happened yet. You're anxious about it, about something that hasn't happened yet and won't kill you. Anxious about something that barely hurts at all. Okay, do it. Now's the time to step in the shower. As the cold water hits you, you might shout or squirm, but you get used to it. You get comfortable with the cold instead of trying to avoid it. A moment before the flinch seems so uncomfortable that you might talk yourself out of this. You convince yourself that it's pointless. This is stupid. I'm not doing this. But it isn't. It's training. You need to build up a habit of seeing the flinch and going forward, not rationalizing your fear and stepping away. Behind every flinch is a fear or anxiety. Sometimes rational, sometimes not. Without the fear, there's no flinch. But wiping out the fear isn't what's important. Facing it is. Jalen Smith, The Flinch. I'm starting this episode today off talking about the flinch because we get so many people that reach out to us that are just starting out, that don't know how to get into resale, and it's a very scary thing. And I think, so that feeling is the quintessential feeling of coming into something new, starting something new, and having the anxiety of failure. So there's always going to be some sort of failure within your business. Even the most successful businesses have failures, but you have to learn to get through those failures. You can't be so afraid of the failure that you don't even start or you don't even try. So that's really what I want to talk about a little bit before we started the vlog. Is I want to make sure that people that are getting into liquidation or getting into resale, you do realize that it is a very scary thing. However, you never know how you're going to do if you don't start, if you don't try. What is up, beautiful people? TJ here with another episode. Today I want to talk a little bit about liquidation and resale and how you can fit your lifestyle into that. So I definitely have an issue in terms of my business. I'm not the way that I approach business is a little bit different than how other people approach business. I definitely take a lot more risk than some people would take, and it's not hard for me to kind of throw myself out there and try to get a return, a big return on my investment. One of the things that some people may not know about me is that I do have a full-time job. So battling having a full-time job versus having a full-time business, because I do consider this business to be a full-time business, it does get difficult at times to prioritize and understand exactly who needs to do what and what needs to happen. But we always have an idea. We always have an end goal, because everybody's goal is not going to be different. Our goal is going to be different than your goal. But definitely our goal is to build a larger scale business. You may just want to do it part-time. You may just want to do it on the weekends. You may be trying to fund a trip, or you may be trying to fund or just supplement your income in some kind of way. But our business model, we're trying to build on a larger scale. So our workflow is going to be a lot different than your workflow. So one of the things that people always contact me and ask me, and this is just from the comment section and then from my Facebook group, is they want to get started, or they want to get started and they don't have an idea of how to get started, and they are apprehensive for starting out. I understand the apprehensiveness because it is scary, throwing out money, especially if you don't have a lot of capital to start with. It is hard to kind of throw yourself out there because you don't know exactly what you're going to do, if it's going to be good, if it's going to be beneficial, if you're going to make money, if you're going to be profitable. And that is a very real thing. So one of the reasons that I want to make this video was to kind of talk about that flinch moment. So the beginning of the video, I talked a little bit about what the flinch means and how when you approach those situations, you are, you are nervous, you are afraid of failure, And I think the reason that my business is as successful as it is because we did fail. We failed so many times. There were so many situations that we failed on, and we continue to make mistakes and fail in certain aspects of our business. But what failure does is it teaches you what not to do. It teaches you, lessons in terms of business and things like that. So you do have to make those mistakes in order to learn. Now, obviously, we give you some tips, and I'm sure you do research and you look at other people's failures. So that's where those tips and tricks come from. Those tips and tricks come from people trying different things, new things they're not comfortable with, but they actually try those things and they either fail or they don't fail. So if they failed at it, they're not going to tell you to do that, But if they didn't fail, if they were successful with it, they're definitely going to share that with you. So whenever you are going into resale liquidation, you really have to think about failure and just know that there's going to be some kind of failure with it. There's going to be a certain level of risk involved with purchasing and reselling items, and that's not just for liquidation. That's if you do picking. That's if you're reselling anything on eBay or Amazon or Mercari or wherever you're going to sell your items at. There's going to be some level of failure that's probably going to happen. So you really have to think about how you're going to overcome those failures and how you're going to get past them. You don't want to just sit in the idea of failure. You have to start somewhere, fail, see how you're going to get over that hump, and then implement that fix that you came up with. So a lot of times whenever we have, at my job, we talk a lot about lessons learned. We talk about things that we learned from previous iterations of trying to do something. We talk about where we failed, what, doing a root cause analysis of what the failure, this is my corporate side coming out, going into the root cause of how we failed, how we got there, and just really how we cannot do that again. Some of the things I would tell you is keep a log of the things that you try to do or the things that you attempt to do. So what I do is I just pull up my notes app on my iPhone and I type those kind of lessons learned into a file that I have set up. So these are things that we tried. We've tried to list things blindly. We tried to do drop shipping. We tried to. There's so many failures that we had that we won't try again. And just keeping a log of that really allows you to look at what you did and how you failed and how you can kind of get through that. Now, if you are a person that wants to do this full time, then you really have to think about your workflow. So your workflow is going to be different than my workflow. So the way that our workflow works is I work full time Monday through Thursday, work 4/10s. April, my sister, she works Tuesday or Mondays, Fridays, and half a day on Saturdays. So she works part-time, so she doesn't work that many hours. So during the week, April normally takes care of the day-to-day operations within our business. When I get off, I come and I, pick up where she left off. One of the things about liquidation that a lot of people don't realize is that you always have to continually get things listed on whatever platform that you're selling things on, unless you're going to sell stuff locally. But if you are selling stuff on eBay, you have to make sure that you continually list items, continually list things, have a fresh set of inventory, and that will spur sales. I don't know if it's like the algorithm. I don't know if it's just eBay seeing that your store is active. But what I've found is if you don't continually list things, your store will go dormant and you won't sell stuff. So I kind of played around with this before because we were just listing stuff as we got it. So we would get a pallet in or a liquidation box and we would list those items. Well, we would sell. As soon as we would list those items, we would sell like a lot of the stuff from that pallet, and then we would not list anything until we got another pallet. But there's always a level of stuff that you're not going to want to deal with. And we went through and we started listing those things. So what we're doing now is we're compiling a big, huge list of everything that we get in. And then whenever we listings, we take it off that list. But what you're left with is a burn down list, or a list of everything that's that you have that's not listed. And what we do is we list 10 of those items every single day. So 10 items, you like, whoa, 10 items, you know, do you have 10 items that you're not listed? Yeah, we have hundreds of items that are not listed. And those items take up space. They're not profitable for us because they're just sitting there. And in liquidation, you're just going to get, you know, there's going to be like that 60% of the pallets or liquidation stuff that you're probably not going to sell, or you're probably not going to think that you can sell it. You know, you're going to make your money back in the first 10 to 20% of the liquidation pallet, and then the rest of the stuff is just kind of is going to be your profit. But you can't just go into it thinking about making your money back. You do have to be profitable. You do have to have a long-term plan for being profitable. And sometimes that means just making equal money. Sometimes that means that you're going to have to lose money on the perceived value of the item that you have. You know, you may have something that you perceive it to be $100 item. The internet may tell you that it's a $100 item, but people aren't going to pay $100 for it. Maybe they're only going to pay $50. And you have to get out of the mindset that you want to make the top dollar for that item. You have to look at the profitability of that specific item versus how much you put into it, your return on investment. So if you only paid $5 for it, you know, if you sold it for 10, that's double your money. And sometimes it's hard to do that, especially when you're looking at the perceived value of an item. So that is going to be it for today. I'm kind of rambling on. I'm just talking about, you know, liquidation. I can talk about this all day long, but I just want to kind of sit down and talk about, you know, certain things that we've done in the past that we've learned from and that we've gotten better at. And that is one of the things that you have to get over is your pricing, your profitability, and you have to start. You have to get started. You have to get through that flinch moment, and you have to think about the end goal. You definitely have to have goals. My goals are not going to be your goals. You have to make up your own goals of what you're going to do and try to achieve those goals. And sometimes it's hard because you are met with failure. You are met with trying times. You know, there's things that happen. You know, we're going through a pandemic right now. Nobody thought that we would be going through a pandemic right now. So a lot of people that are starting the business right now is afraid because of the current state of what's going on. And you have to get through that. If you're going to do that, you just have to make this decision to move forward and plow through that. So if you have any questions about anything, just put it down in the comment section below. I try to answer each and every one of you all's questions. Sometimes I may not get to it. If I don't get to it within a couple days, you know, you can reach out to me on social media, or you can join our Facebook group, and it's a lot easier to answer questions over there because there's less people. So if you like these types of videos, please like, share, and subscribe. I really appreciate it. Also hit that bell icon so you can get notifications whenever I release new videos. I will see you guys on the next one. Peace.